Crisscrossing the country as we chase the 2022 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. Started in California for the first two rounds, Fox Raceway and Hangtown, then Colorado's Thunder Valley, then all the way east to Pennsylvania at High Point. Redbud for the July 4th weekend spectacular, back to the sands of Southwick in Massachusetts. Millville, Minnesota, up to the Great Pacific Northwest, Washougal, Washington. Series had a couple weekends off, and the stretch run began at Unadilla in New York. Last week, we were at Budds Creek, Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C., and back to the center of the country for this Ironman Raceway as we get ready for round 11.
A quick lap around Ironman, it's got to be just nailing the ruts. It's become one of my favorite tracks, I think, because it races really well, a lot of different lines, and it's just a pretty cool track, I think. I raced the GNCT there prior to them having a national, so had a little bit of knowledge on the track, but overall I think just nailing the ruts and carrying good corner speed, it gets pretty rutted and technical there, and it kind of suits my style, so I usually look forward to going there every year.
Ironman is one of the tracks that's super tough. As every year they rip it super deep, and a lot of the time we have some funky weather there too. We've had great conditions before, but a lot of the times we show up and we get a lot of rain, which makes for extremely difficult conditions, as we have a lot of elevation changes that are not just big, but they're also very steep. And with them ripping it super deep, it usually makes for a crazy mud fest. We have some huge jumps in there. We have some hard pack, a little bit of sand, and even some mulch in there. So we kind of got a bit of everything.
Man, it can be wide open at sometimes, and it can be very, very technical. Depends on what time of the year you're going there. But it's a rough, ruddy, gnarly track that you have to be on your toes at all times to get around it, much less fast. You got to be focused the whole time. You gotta pick your lines good. Jump when you need to jump, stay on the ground when you need to stay on the ground, and you got to watch for them hooks. You got to watch for them hooks in those ruts, but it's always gnarly, it's always ruddy. It's one of my favorite tracks on the series, so yeah, it's awesome.
Welcome to Fast Lap qualifying here for Pro Motocross, the Tucker Freight Ironman National Round 11 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing. Covering qualifying here on a Saturday morning, about an hour west of Indianapolis, Indiana. Jason Wygant, rejoined by the Golden Boy, Brock Glover, the six-time AMA National Motocross Champion. We said to get well soon to Adam Cianciarulo, who's going to be here in the booth, but he's under the weather this weekend, so good to have you back. Brock, thanks. You've been to all the nationals we've had at this track. You know this place pretty well.
It is. This is an amazing facility, and the riders were talking about it, and they all nailed it. We talked to Chase and Ken Roxon and AP, and they talked about the ruts, the extreme elevation changes, and the steepness of some of these jumps. So that's the facility.
Okay, so that's the track they'll be dealing with. We'll be getting to the 450 championship scenarios later in the show. First up will be 250s, though. Jet Lawrence had won all the races for a while. Other riders starting to come on strong here now, Brock.
They really are. They're starting to come into their stride. Joe Shimoda is the one that comes to mind right away. Yeah. And we've also seen slipping of Hunter Lawrence, and he's just not having the races he was earlier. And RJ Hampshire bouncing back for that win last week at Budds Creek, so that was impressive.
And we're welcoming some new blood into the class now that the Monster Energy Amateur National at Riddle Inns is over. Hayden Deegan making his highly anticipated debut today. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas with the rookie.
Hayden Deegan making your pro debut here at Ironman. Now, obviously, lots of people are watching this weekend, a lot of speculation, a lot of fans here, too. Tell us, how was that first practice? And overall, what are your kind of goals for this first round?
Oh, yeah, we just got done with the first qualifying earlier. It was good. I had fun. Track's a lot different than an amateur race, I'll tell you that. So we were a little tense, you know, first ever pro qualifying. So we'll come out here this next time, open the track up, and yeah, it's going well.
All right, all eyes on Hayden Deegan today, making his pro debut.
All right, thanks, Jason Thomas, who will be reporting from the racetrack throughout qualifying and then our racing later on today. Jason Wygant, Brock Glover here. We mentioned the early season win streak of Jet Lawrence. If he can get to a 50-point lead today over Shimoda, who's second in the series, he could wrap up the title early. We'll see how it plays out. But Jet Lawrence does have a potential scenario to win his second straight Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, and will be ready for qualifying, such as start practice right now. Yeah, Brock, you mentioned it. Shimoda took over second in the series last week.
He did. He passed Jet's older brother, Hunter, and that in itself was something nobody thought that was going to happen after about midway through the season. And Joe has just been coming to in his own. I mean, he's just riding really well, pushing, carrying lots of speed, and getting in confidence is building each round.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a contender to win today for sure. RJ Hampshire took the win last weekend, so the field's starting to get stronger as the season goes on. We're just about ready to unleash the bikes here in the track. This is Fast Lap qualifying here on MAV TV.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive. General Tire. For whatever you do, General Tire delivers. And by Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance.
And part of that 50 years of off-road dominance, Honda, Trey Canard, a big part of it. Raced on factory bikes. His career was with 2007 to 2017. He earned wins in both motocross and supercross with the speed to battle against the best of his era. Oklahoma rider Trey Canard fashioned one of the most remarkable comeback seasons in AMA motocross history. 5 rounds into the 2010 season, Canard was ranked 4th in the 250 class, trailing points leader Christophe Porcel and 2 others in the championship. But then Canard went on an epic run, capturing 5 of the final 7 races to beat a trio of Kawasaki riders and give Honda its first support class title since Steve Lafson back in 1996. One of the nicest riders you'll meet at the racetrack. Officially, Canard raced for 10 years, although injuries would put him on the sideline multiple times. He'd make 64 starts, earning 23 podiums, 12 moto wins, and that remarkable 2010 comeback run to a championship. And Trey's still employed by Honda as a test rider for the bikes, one of the nicest guys and certainly helpful behind the scenes for the squad these days.
And he's here right now, but I did see him walking around in a little boot cast on his lower leg, and I asked him what happened, and he just kind of said nothing much.
Okay.
Downplayed it.
Yeah, minor for a motocross injury. Let's get back to the track here at Ironman, and we'll show it to you with the MX versus ATV Legends track map. Go ahead, Brock.
Well, this one thing everybody talks about at Ironman, the 2 key words you heard was it's tough and the ruts, and it is that. This is epic Midwestern dirt. It's chocolate cake. We all talk about that off the start, and it's so important to be, get a great start here because it immediately gets into a couple of tight corners. But the one thing, the elevation changes here. This jump right here, Godzilla, you can barely walk up, but we did a track walk with the Combine, and it was very difficult to even come up the hill. Another big jump down, over 100 feet, down into some tight switchbacks. Again, the ruts come into play here, and then the big giant monster jump here, another 100-footer. So that's the one thing you notice about here in this track. A lot of elevation changes as they go down into the Hoosier Hole, come out into there, and then off into another. This is a good-sized jump here, and then the iconic covered bridge.
Yeah, it's this area known for that, so they incorporated it into the track. I always say it's the perfect piece of land for motocross. It is dead flat, except the track itself has huge mountains essentially in it. But for pits, parking, spectators, perfectly flat, but the track is elevation change. It's like magical that way.
It is, and what a facility. And it started really with GNCC racing back in like 1995. It's amazing it took 22 years to nationally or whatever it was. I'm sorry, but it's just, I don't know why it took so long. We should have had it much earlier.
Yeah, it's perfect for that. Hey, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross will continue with our finale, so stay with us for the stretch run. That's next Saturday, September 3rd, right here on MAV TV, and also streaming MAV TV on FloRacing. So that's the final round of the series next weekend, and we are ready for the next to last round here. Ready for the final qualifying session. There's the points you mentioned. A 37-point lead for Lawrence over Shimoda. If he can gain 13 points on Joe today, he will wrap up the championship a week early. But the way Joe's riding, 13 points not going to be easy to get. And Hunter Lawrence now, as he said, back to 3rd, but it's only 6 points in it. I would guess, Brock, there's probably some big bonus money on the line, so you know Hunter wants it.
That's no question about that. He absolutely wants second place. It's a much better feeling around the Honda camp, particularly the Lawrence family. If you go to, I mean, obviously each one of the Lawrence brothers want to be the first one, but if they're not first, they want to be second. They do not want Joe Shimoda in between them.
But other riders are there stealing points from them. RJ Hampshire, big last week. Had been struggling with the motorcycle all year. He said he'd been hard on the team, but this was why. They got it right, and he got a win at Bud's.
And he did. You know, coming from the Dunlop camp, he used our scoop tire, and he stuck with it both motos. He said it was fabulous and great for the start, and he, you know, walked away with the win.
Yeah, and it was a hard-fought battle, but you know, RJ will never cheat you for effort, and that time it paid off with his first win of the season. And earlier today, Jason Thomas talked to RJ Hampshire.
We're here with last week's winner, RJ Hampshire. Now, a little unknown stat that we uncovered this week. You're the only rider that's raced here every time they've had a national Ironman. You probably didn't know that either, out of both classes, so that's pretty cool. But tell us a little about the confidence and maybe some of the bike changes that propelled you to that win last week.
Yeah, I enjoy this place. It's a bit different than, you know, last weekend's Bud's Creek track, but you know, it's prepped pretty good today. Base is hard, but yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to be here. I felt like last weekend a lot of people didn't see that coming, besides maybe my group around me. You know, they believe in me as much as I believe in myself, so that's just kind of all it was. Is I had that confidence back at Unadilla, and I came in, you know, stoked to be there. The vibes were high. First moto I delivered, second moto I didn't. And then, yeah, last weekend at Bud's, I put both motos together, 2 good starts. You know, that's all it's going to take today. You get me out front, get me up there with those guys. I can battle, I can push. I'll be strong there at the end. So we're kind of got a different game plan coming in this weekend. Get this start, and I think I can manage throughout the moto. So, yeah, just have a good day.
Well, momentum is on RJ Hampshire's side. Let's see if he can keep it going here at Ironman.
Well, that was earlier, but he did not keep it going because RJ actually just went down immediately as we started this qualifying session.
Well, he talked about, you know, having confidence coming in, doing his thing, got a new game plan. I'm not sure why you'd want to fix something that wasn't really broken, but here, this is a big get off. We saw a moment like that yesterday in the Combine, too, and it's a fast section in the turn 1 there, and
it's another look.
Boy, it can knife on you.
That is a road racing style high side.
It really is.
I'm going to ask you this. So they come out for practices the very first lap. Can they get caught off guard? Like they think the track's going to feel a certain way, and then it feels different? Is that what can lead to that?
Well, RJ mentioned the fact that it's a hard base, and I did notice he also has a paddle scoop tire on there. He's comfortable with that, but you can see those ruts developing right there, and they are firm. So who knows what caused that to happen, but it's there's the hard base coming to bite.
That's right. Yep. The track, I mean, you look at this dirt, and it seems epic, like just endless, as much traction as you want. Velcro dirt. But apparently there are some slick spots.
Well, the one thing about this history of the Ironman Raceway is the extreme weather. I don't need, if it's extreme heat, extreme rain, extreme whatever it may be, it's just thrown at you here at this track. You have to expect it. Look at all those ruts that have developed. So you know the track is nice and soft and loamy, but the thing here is we have perfect weather today for the National, and this is the best it's been I've ever been to Ironman.
And that 438, that's Hayden Deegan making his pro debut. He mentioned how different this track was to an amateur track. Jason Thomas is with Hayden's dad, Brian.
Well, I'm down here with Brian Deegan, a legend in your own right. This has to be a proud moment for you watching your son here, Hayden Deegan, making his pro debut.
Absolutely. It's a really exciting moment. A lot of years to build up to this, and really today is a real learning experience for Hayden. I know he's so excited to go race against the best guys in the nation. And it's about a learning process, and we just decided to start it now. And with the new rules, you can go back to amateur, you can dabble in pros for a few bit to help that transition, which I think is a great idea. And so we're taking advantage of that, and we'll kind of see where he's at, see his pluses and minuses, and work from here, you know. So it's just a learning process, a ton of respect for everyone here. I'm jealous. I wish I was racing. It looks so fun right now.
Well, it's really cool. I think for Brian, he has so much experience to offer Hayden in this first race because it's what, just like you said, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, and Brian used to race this series, one of the top privateers, earned a national number in the 20s for a long, long time, and then went on to be really one of the pioneers in freestyle motocross, multiple X Games gold medals. Then he got into off-road truck racing and won there, got in a rally car here and there, won there. We also know that Hayden's sister, Haley, is one of the rising stars in the NASCAR Truck Series. I don't know what the magic dust or magic formula Brian Deegan has, but whatever they decide to get into, they succeed.
There's a racing family if there ever was one, and then Hayden has just been under, I don't want to say he's been not under the microscope, but he's certainly been in the spotlight his entire life, so he knows no different. And he's actually a great kid, rides really, really well, and I'm loving to see this right here, taking advantage of what Brian mentioned, that the pro rule where you can actually dabble in the pros, and if it's not for you, can step back a little bit. And we've seen many riders coming out of the MX Combine doing that, and I love to see it.
Well, that's kind of what springboarded to this. The Scouting Moto Combine, which we run on Fridays, the original plan, I'm sure, was that he was going to do that. But we had one at Redbud a couple months ago, and he dominated. And the progress that they've seen, because he rides with the pro guys every day,
right?
I think they said, you know what, you might be ready for the next step a little early. So we'll see how it turns out.
I love to see that, to be honest with you, because, you know, of all the riders we've had, Ryder DeFrancisco, we had Gavin Towers, who's also making his pro debut today. We had Chance Hymas is also doing possibly next week, I heard. Maybe.
He won yesterday.
Yeah, he won yesterday at the Combine. So it's great seeing these guys come out here and do this. And of all the riders that I've seen in the MX Combine, because I've actually been in all 4 that we've had so far as one of the rider coaches, I think Hayden was the one that I thought was probably most equipped to step up pro ranks.
Looks good right now, but the lap time in the first qualifying session, by the way, was Justin Cooper. That's the one they're all trying to beat here, 2 minutes, .271. Deegan was 16th fastest in the first session earlier today. We'll see how things develop here in session 2. You can see right now it's the Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki teammates of Hamaker and Shimoda who are the top 2 on track at the moment, but they all got to go after that 2-minute flat by Justin Cooper. That's the other thing, the amateur scene, now they've added those Scouting Moto Combines, the teams get a good gauge, but the ultimate gauge is the fact that Deegan rides with the pro riders all day, every day, all week, so they know exactly what they're dealing with there. As you go back to Jet Lawrence, and there's Hunter, by the way. But Brock, you could probably speak on this. During the week is one thing. You would think, okay, if they've seen him ride with Justin Cooper every day, they know exactly where he's going to turn out. Race day is different than Tuesday.
It is, and Hayden mentioned that, how the track was so different than he even expected, how it's prepped so they till it so much deeper, and you see, and when we get a couple of these camera shots, the ruts that have developed in some of these, I can't even imagine how deep they are going to be by the second motos today. But Hayden rides with the Justin Cooper, the Nate Thrashers, the Levi Kitchens, and then you go back in first qualifying, you go, wait, Justin Cooper was first, Nate Thrasher was third, and Levi Kitchen was fifth, and, and I'm way down here. Where am I? I got to keep looking, 16th. So it is different, and you mentioned that.
Yeah, during the week you can stay with them. Now this compound, they've obviously been doing great things. The Lawrence brothers looking to go 1-2 in this series and send it down to Jason Thomas.
I'm down here with Lucas Myrtle, and it must be nice to be you. You have the top 3 in points, but you know the last few weeks haven't been very kind to Hunter Lawrence, and also Jet hasn't led a lap. Spring Creek. So can you tell us a little bit about the conversations during the week, just trying to get those guys back on track?
I mean, well, firstly, like Jet, like he's at this point of the year, he handles probably what he needed to do earlier. So now it's like take what's there, right, and be, you know, generally smart. And you know, Hunter just some untimely crashes and whatnot. Probably, you know, the guys chasing where Jet is, he's built up a lead. They've got to like take some chances at this point. So it's, you know, it's a fine line now, definitely, you know, where if you're going to catch that points leader, you had to take the chances. So unfortunately, Hunter, it's gone not so great last few rounds, but I expect a bounce back. But then you have Joe, who's really kind of jumped at the opportunities these rounds gave him.
Well, you've heard it. This motocross is our gold. Lucas Myrtle with top 3 in points. I think everything he touches turns to gold. I think that's what they call the Midas touch, Weech.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Lucas Myrtle's got it dialed. He also represents Max Voland, who's been top 5. We've had races where Lucas Myrtle clients have finished 1, 2, 3, 5. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, we've noticed off the track the camaraderie between Shimoda and the Lawrence brothers, even though they've been battling so hard. They go way back. They were all Honda prospects with the old Geico team. They share the same manager there with Lucas Myrtle. So when we had James Stewart in the booth last week, Brock, he kept commenting on that. The camaraderie And the friendliness between the riders is so different, probably different from your era as well. These guys joke around with each other all the time, even though they're at each other's throats.
They do. I've been conducting some of the press conference after races, and last week, the entire time, I think Joe and Jet were completely teasing each other. It was just jab after jab after jab, and it was just funny to see.
So you and some of your rivals back in the day, maybe not so much. I think you and Bailey got along pretty well, but
you know what? Honestly, I mean, I grew up. I was a little bit of the elder statesman of the Cajon zone. So I think the fact that I was a little older, I don't want to call it the leader, but leader in age. So I had Rick Johnson and Ron Lachine following me. Scott Burnworth was also the peripheral of that El Cajon zone there. And we all got along great. We could travel together. We could literally practice together during the week. But we, no bones about it. We wanted to beat each other on the weekend. But we were respectful to that fact. And I honestly actually felt like I did get along pretty well with almost every one of my top competitors. Yeah, it can be, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're going to try any less as we got the beta drone cam. Just because they joke around doesn't mean that they want to beat each other any less on the weekend.
No, I don't think so. Not even at all. There is a point where you don't have to be foolish when you're a teammate. Hunter's not going to run jet hard than he would somebody else. But I tell you, I don't think Joe Shimoda cares. I've asked him about, hey, you've won 2 iconic racetracks. You won an overall at Redbud and now Unadilla. And do you understand the history of the sport? He's like, in one way, I was kind of disappointed he didn't understand that.
No.
But on the other side of the coin, he's like, man, I'm just trying to pass whoever's ahead of me. And if it's my teammate, it doesn't make any difference. I don't care. And I'm just trying to pass whoever's ahead of me.
Cooper's time, you're looking at it on the screen, that is from the top of the screen is Cooper's time from this current session, 2 minutes, 0.8. But he did have a 2 minute 0.2 from earlier today. That's the overall time they're all trying to beat. So Cooper trying to top both qualifying sessions today. Cooper had been coming on strong 1 second moto at Washougal and Unadilla and led the second moto last week at Budds Creek, but he faded. I believe he was sick last week. So if Cooper's back to 100%, you almost feel that overall win is due for the number 32. And there he is on that Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing machine. Finally seeing the real Justin Cooper in the second half of this championship.
Yeah, his confidence is coming around. He's riding himself into shape. He came into the season battling an injury. He didn't have the full preparation that you would normally want to have. But Justin Cooper, I thought we looked at some numbers and I think he's qualified first nearly 50% of his career races in the 250. I like the fact that he's got that speed. And now you can learn how to get in condition, shape, how to race 30+2, and to just take advantage of what speed you do have.
Cooper's known really for 2 things, the qualifying times and great starts. And then somewhere along the way, someone pointed out, when you have the #1 gate pick in half the races you compete in, you're probably going to, obviously other things also contribute to starts, but that's got to be one of the factors.
It doesn't hurt, but it also sounds like sour grapes to me coming from somebody who doesn't have that extra speed. Last week I was just thoroughly enjoying, as I've enjoyed every one of these races this year, listening to all the champions and their commentary, but talking to James Stewart, and he was talking about that strategy and being able to back off some rider that was ahead of him and wait until there's another opportunity where a track opens up a little bit instead of getting caught right behind him in a tight section. I mean, boy, there's some of us mere mortals, we didn't have that luxury. I don't ever remember really going, I'm just going to back off here for a couple seconds and then go again. I was afraid I'd never make up that 2 seconds, but when you're the fastest man on the planet, I guess that's a luxury you have. And a guy like Justin Cooper has some definite speed, as does a Kenny Roczen. We see Kenny Roczen, he'll jump out early in a moto and put some blazer and heater laps in and pull away a little bit. So, and when he's on, and he'll finish it off and win the race. So good to see Justin, and he's getting more and more confidence, and everybody matures at a different level, and maybe it takes Justin a few more years than others to get it to where he knows how to, that formula for winning.
Yeah, he's been super consistent his whole career, but he's looking for that first win of this season. And we'll check in with Shimoda now. Really coming on strong, as we said, with 2 wins this year and taking over second in the points.
Woo,
Wow.
Nice. Look at that line way outside, crossing over. Yesterday in the Combine, we were looking, Chad Reed and myself and Michael Byrne were looking at a corner that we thought that it was getting so deep in those ruts that maybe the fastest line would be pivot on the outside and cross the ruts.
Yeah, this track is known for those deep, long ruts. Not as deep today. We've seen it even deeper, but you mentioned the weather is often a huge factor. I think the first 3 or 4 years we had a race here, Brock, it was a mud race every time.
Yeah, there were races here that the qualifying sessions were reduced to just one quick session. And one of the years in the 250B practice, they went out first. Track was groomed as best they could without getting a tractor stuck. And the local kids knew that, and some of the great mud riders, the top 10 qualifiers came out of B practice. The first quote-unquote named rider was Joey Savacci, and he qualified 11th on the factory on the pro circuit bike. And it was there were some riders that nearly did not make the main events. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I got to look back at it, but possibly Dungy or somebody had to use a provisional at one of those races.
Yeah, so we're happy. We have perfect weather this weekend after this track had some tough breaks. The first few years it was on the schedule where you're racing in the mud, it felt like every time. And now we see what the facility really has to offer. The qualifying has ended as far as times. Everyone that's out on track still can race all the way around to the finish. So we'll see if anyone can knock off Justin Cooper's top time. Shimoda's trying right now.
You know what? I just love that we're actually following Joe right here. And I have seen just an improvement in his riding just in this season, as most other people. It just, you can see he's just flowing better, carrying better, cornering speed, line selection. Just rarely are you seeing him put a wheel wrong.
Going by the 3:29, that is Matthew LeBlanc, who's back in action this weekend. Also, I think there's 6 Star Racing 250s here this weekend. LeBlanc is coming out after a collarbone injury cost him the mid part of the series. There's the checkers for Shimoda. He's not going to be able to knock down Cooper's time, so the master of qualifying is going to top both sessions today.
No question who's going to be our number 1 key pick once again.
Yeah, exactly. So Cooper's fast qualifier was Hunter Lawrence, who was second quickest. And we'll be right back, and we will talk to Justin Cooper, find out how this track is developing early on race day here at Ironman Raceway.
Introducing the 2023 Beta RR off-road model lineup. Beta has the broadest model selection available, each with its own characteristics, as well as our trademark Italian design and rideability. Choose from a 125, 200, 250, or 300 two-stroke models, or a 350, 390, 430, or 480 four-stroke model. Learn more at betausa.com to locate a dealer near you. Go ahead, you deserve it.
Today we're going to see who can put on their shoes the easiest. Bill with regular shoes, or Claire with Skechers new Easy Slip-ins. Go!
Done!
Skechers hands-free slip-ins go on and stay on. Let's check on Bill. Try new Skechers slip-ins.
When performance matters most, the pros trust Crown Performance. Constructed from Teflon, Kevlar, and stainless steel, Crown Performance brake lines exceed all industry standards, will hold up against the harshest conditions, and provide ultimate stopping power, whether it's for the street or the track. We offer customized sizes and colors to fit any application. Visit crownperformance.com to learn more. crownperformance.com. crownperformance.com. Protect the Harvest was created to defend and preserve American freedoms and to support farmers, ranchers, outdoor enthusiasts, and animal owners. Protecting agriculture, protecting our rights, our traditions, our rural way of life. Protecting America. To get involved, please visit our Facebook page or protecttheharvest.com. Support us by donating today. Protect the Harvest is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation registered in Missouri.
General Tire delivers.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
There's a look high atop Ironman Raceway, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, and our qualifying for the 250 class is over. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas.
Justin Cooper, to nobody's surprise, you are today's fastest qualifier yet again. Now, I had heard you were feeling a little bit under the weather last week. Am I okay to be this close to you? Like, are you feeling a little bit better? I think it maybe have affected your results last weekend as well.
Yeah, it didn't help going down last weekend in the first moto. It just drained me. I didn't have much energy to start the day, so I just started feeling better that Friday. Just no energy to push really. So gave it everything I had last weekend. That's all I could do. And now, we're feeling a little bit better this weekend. A lot more energy and feeling comfortable on the bike. You can't override the track right now. It's very, very technical, and the ruts will grab you. So you got to be patient with your turns and just got to be smooth out there. So far so good. Hopefully we can get out front in the motos and finally get a win.
Well, we'll see if Justin Cooper can get back to the winning ways. He's looking for that overall win. He's got the second motos dial, but elusive overall win.
And definitely has the qualifying dialed. He is your Monster Energy fast lap qualifier here. Mention the technical aspect of the track there, Brock.
It is very technical, and Justin, it's very surprising to me. I watched Hunter Lawrence. We saw the Joe Shimoda, and boy, 1.5 seconds faster than the next Hunter Lawrence in second.
Wow, that is a big gap for one lap at a motocross race. Have our television coverage of this Tucker Freight Ironman National coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and it'll be 4 straight hours. Big thanks to the folks at MAV TV for giving us the 4 hours of live coverage each weekend throughout the 2022 season. And don't forget our post-race wrap-up show, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. That is inside Pro Motocross. Also the Pulp-MX show on Tuesday nights on MAV TV as well. So lots of motocross coverage. And that's just covering the pro races, but we've been talking about the Scouting Moto Combine, which is an opportunity for young riders to learn the ropes before they turn pro. This is the results from that race yesterday. Chance Hymas sweeping it on the Honda, Evan Ferry and Dax Bennick. 1, 2, 3, that's 3 different brands. So let's get to know Chance Hymas, who had the 1-1 scores on the Honda. He's headed to the podium, and we'll send it down again to Jason Thomas.
Chance Hymas, yesterday's winner for the Scouting Combine. It's a big day, right? And there's a lot of rumors speculating about will he go pro, won't he? But I was here yesterday watching a super impressive performance, and I think it's got to be pretty cool to watch your Honda teammates, out here trying to vie for a championship as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool experience doing the Combine yesterday and getting to work with everybody and get them to do the schedule and kind of simulate what a real race day is for us. And then obviously here today, like taking notes, watching my teammates and watching them do their thing. I mean, I have 4 of the best teammates in the industry right now, so it's pretty cool to watch.
Well, Michael Byrne is up here with us as well. And Michael, just your quick thoughts on a day. You win again. It's 2-0 this year on coaching the Scouting Combine. So just give us your thoughts on Chance and the overall, this project seems really successful so far.
No, he did a great job yesterday. All we ask as coaches is that you be a sponge for the day, take it all in, try and do what we tell you to do. And, Chance executed everything just like I asked him yesterday, and it paid off.
Well, pretty wise words from, former factory rider Michael Byrne, and Chance Hymas is on his way as well.
And we'll see. Maybe he'll be on the pro gate at Pala. Hey, the ARCA Menard Series also competing here on MAV TV. The next race will be the Sprecher 150 at the Milwaukee Mile in West Allis, Wisconsin. And that is tomorrow at 3 Eastern on MAV TV. So plenty of racing on the Motorsports Network coming your way. So check that out tomorrow. Again, 3 Eastern, ARCA Menard Series. As far as Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, we've been talking about all the great champions of the 50-year history of the sport this year. So let's talk Blake Baggett, who began his pro career in 2009. Haven't seen him on the racetrack since 2020, but for a decade he was a consistent contender for wins and championships. California rider Blake Baggett earned one of the coolest nicknames in motocross, El Chupacabra, known for his ability to overcome obstacles and charge his way to the front of the field. Baggett first marked racing for Mitch Payton's powerful Pro Circuit Kawasaki team in 2011. His teammate Dean Wilson took home the title, followed by teammates Rattray and Baggett. And together, they would sweep all 12 overalls and 23 out of 24 motos. But Baggett's championship moment came the following season. And to say he earned the 2012 title is an understatement. He led the series with 10 moto victories and 5 overall wins. Second through fifth in that title season, some of the most talented riders in the sport. Justin Barcia, Eli Tomac, and KTM teammates Ken Roczen and Marvin Musquin. Baggett would battle injuries through 2 more seasons in the 250 class, finishing 4th in 2013 and 2nd in 2014, while earning 4 more overall wins. And then after moving to the 450 class, Baggett would become a podium contender and some of the most exciting come-from-behind charges fans at the fence line have ever seen. El Chupacabra winning from behind and leaving his legacy.
Boy, you talk about Blake Baggett. Funny stat here. It's crazy. Crazy. The last KTM 450 moto win in the premier class, Blake Baggett, second moto red bud, 2020.
Yeah.
How can a KTM not have won a moto since then?
We haven't seen Blake in 2 years, and he's still the last KTM moto winner. And when you think about Blake Baggett, we mentioned that El Chupacabra nickname. It's the come from behind. He would just turn the speed on like the 12th minute into a moto. Not the way you're supposed to do it, but when he did it, it was unstoppable.
And a nickname you gave him.
That was kind of a joke, and it really got wings. Hopefully we see Blake hanging out at the races, or maybe even racing. He didn't even say he's retired. He said nothing.
I actually thought he'd maybe going to over the pond there and maybe racing one of these off-season races, but nope, not that I've heard of.
Haven't heard a word. All right, we switch back to this year's championship. Shout out to Blake Baggett, but the big story, of course, this season is Chase Sexton versus Eli Tomac. 1 point in it. And this is interesting from qualifying earlier today. Look at the edge for Sexton.
Wow, that is some serious. Eli,
1.5 seconds.
It doesn't seem like Eli really, I don't mean he doesn't care. It doesn't really seem like qualifying to him is that important. But boy, that's a little alarming right there as you see Chase Sexton just hammering down. I mean, he's from this part of the country and he just loves it. Feet on the pegs. Oh my goodness, that rut right there to do that as you head up towards Godzilla there. That's impressive. Chase, he clearly likes this track.
Well, Chase said he knew the mid-season tracks with sand would not be his specialty, but when they got back to the clay tracks toward the end of the year like this, in Budds Creek and Unadilla, the harder surfaces, he would be better. And he proved it at Unadilla. We're seeing both here. We're seeing greatness and mistakes all mixed together.
I'm just going, the announcer's curse.
Yeah.
I talk about how perfect he was and how he nailed that corner, comes out, gets a little sideways out of the rut, doesn't clear Godzilla coming down, bounces off the top of a near cliff jump, and, you know, so I'm sure he'll clean it up. He's enjoying himself riding as you see the Godzilla jump in the screen there.
Hey, also, we'll have the drone and the Lucas Oil helicopter today, so you saw the view from the chopper. Thanks to Lucas Oil for bringing that out. Here's Eli Tomac. We'll compare and contrast. Tomac with Sexton. It's the closest this championship has ever been in this class, this stage of the series. What'd you just see there?
Oh, man, what Eli just did is a lot harder than it looks on the screen there. He did the big jump there, cleared it, and then he basically took a very low roller and cleared a pretty steep face jump. And if you come up short on that, honestly, Weege, that is catastrophic. And speaking of catastrophic, boy, this is not what we want to see out of the 17 of Joey Savacci.
Man, and Savacci, he might have had his best moto of the season last week. He was right in that battle to finish 6th, but he was right in it, running the pace of the leaders. We don't have a clip of the crash, so not exactly sure what happened to Joey, who does have a moto podium from earlier this year at Redbud, but man, hope he's okay and can bounce back for the motos. And coming on strong.
And as you mentioned in that second moto, 6th place or whatever you finished, it wasn't, oh, well, that's not that great. No, he was within that gap between basically second and that position where Joey finished was very close, just a few seconds apart.
And also part of that big battle last week was a collision between Justin Barcia and Dylan Ferrandis. And Ferrandis not in action, our defending champ, now back out, banged up from the crash with Barcia last week. Ferrandis was definitely not happy about that. There is Barcia, and Barcia was actually disqualified from the second moto last week for the incident. Here's Roy Jansen of MX Sports Pro Racing explaining that penalty. Here's the clip from Barcia's GoPro. 3 hits Ferrandis.
The penalty was disqualification from the second moto, complete disqualification. It happens that our director of safety, Jerry Newby, happened to be at that section, at that time, at that spot while this happened. And so we had already had a very in-depth description of what he felt had occurred. But then we were able to gather some resources and some video and some pictures. We gave it a great deal of thought, and our race director, Jeff Canfield, ultimately determined the penalty would be the disqualification from that moto.
You do not see that in motocross, a full DQ very often. I can't even remember. Yeah.
It's not. And when you have that kind of the situation here, this is Justin Skeleton's following him around a little bit.
Yep.
He was on probation during the Supercross series. A little, I guess, a misnomer of the series is that the same exact AMA moniker is what sanctions outdoors. It's actually not. There is a little bit of a difference between the AMA contract with Supercross, based out of Ohio, and MX Sports situation where Daytona Motorsports Group, are called DMG. They actually own the rights to AMA Racing that they purchased way back quite a while ago from Paradama, was the organization within AMA. So technically Justin was not on probation for the outdoors, but egregious activity that, and again, how his long history of being on probation and having an AMA official of all the corners to happen, and you have the AMA official for safety in that corner. So they made a call, and it was a penal call, no question about that.
Yeah, that's a big one. The Barsh is back here, but as we said, Ferrandis is out. I'm not sure about for next weekend. Ferrandis, not good to have the number one not here, because that was really going to be a factor. We were theorizing all week, Ferrandis and Ken Roczen, the teammate for Sexton, who we're watching here. Can the teammates get in there? Well, look, we look at last week at Budds Creek. Ferrandis did finish in front of Sexton in Moto 1, and Ken Roczen finished in front of Eli Tomac in Moto 2. So Tomac not having the teammate, you never know. Could be a factor.
It could be very, very well be a factor. I mean, Eli was not happy, I'm sure, that have Dylan not racing here. He would like to have Dylan up there in case anything were to happen to Chase Sexton. You never know in motocross, as we've seen. Crashes, first corner, whatever it may be. He could have used Dylan's help if the opportunity presented itself.
Because it seemed like it doesn't matter who else shows up. Tomac and Sexton were going 1-2 in all the motos. But we saw Budds Creek, it just takes a bad start, a bad moto, a crash in Sexton's case. And this 450 field is shockingly deep for late in the season. Usually by the end of the year, guys are mailing it in. That is not the case in 2022.
And in one way, it actually got a little deeper when you started seeing guys like Malcolm Stewart, who's now sitting in 9th place in qualifying. He's coming back. He hasn't raced outdoors for years, and now he's able to come back and start riding himself back into shape. Did Unadilla. Now he's done Rip Buds. He's got a couple of nationals under his belt, and he's starting to break into the top 10 in his times. So this is a deep field.
Tomac has answered after Sexton had the huge edge on everyone in qualifying in session 1. Tomac is the fastest rider here in session 2, and I believe that's top overall time as well. These are the first two riders under the 2-minute mark this weekend, and that is Tomac and Sexton. This championship is all the talk. 4 motos, 2 rounds to go. Earlier this weekend, we had a chance to ask Chase Sexton about his strategy.
4 good starts and consistent motos. I think if I can ride to my ability each moto, I think I'll be in a good spot. And I think for me, just staying calm, doing my own thing. I've been in these situations a little bit in Supercross in the 250 class, so I haven't been in this spot with the 450s, but I kind of know how to manage, I think, a little bit of a championship fight, and we're going to put that to the test here in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, he is, like we said, closest points have ever been going into round 11. This is amazing. They swapped the red plate in 3 of the last 4 rounds. And look at the level of dominance. They've won 18 of the 20 motos this year.
That is incredible themselves, that these guys, and again, the top line there, that's the one that grabs my attention. As a fan of the sport, that's what everyone wants to see the red plate exchange back and forth, knowing that this is going down and it's not something that's being wrapped up in the penultimate round of the race. You want it to go down to the finish. Last moto.
But we mentioned how tough this 450 field is, and that certainly includes the number 21, Jason Anderson. Always hanging loose there on that monster Kawasaki, and he won last week's overall. with 2-2 moto scores, because both Sexton and Tomac had one they probably wish they could have back, and Anderson was there to take advantage.
This is, boy, he is just so fun to watch ride. I've always enjoyed it, but what he did that tricky section back there just before the covered bridge, that's so much harder than it looks.
We'll see if Anderson on his hot lap can move a little closer. He's 4th on times, but almost 2 seconds off of Tomac's time.
Well, we'll see right now. He's going through the final corner, right-hander, then the finish line. So we'll see what it tricks the transponder, or trips the transponder. Easy for me to say, but we'll see where he goes. Wow, still nothing faster. I expected that to be a good lap.
Yeah, it's Jason Rango Montoya, his mechanic there. Anderson actually had a crash earlier today in the first qualifying session. We can show that to you.
We're seeing a few riders going down this tough track. Ooh, yeah, just got a little wide there. You can see just landed in the loose off the line. That's just wet, loamy, broken away dirt, and it just nothing to do, nothing to bite into for the front wheel.
Ken Roczen right behind Anderson in that shot there. We go back to Sexton looking to answer back and retake the top qualifying spot from Tomac, who has it right now. Again, they're the only 2 riders that have gone under the 2-minute mark. And I guess it's time to start talking about pressure, Brock. Look, we've got 4 motos to go. No room for error. These are going to be pressure-packed races. Fun to watch. Probably not the best thing to live through for these guys.
Yeah, they have to just focus one moto at a time, task at a time. Don't think, big picture at this point. You just got, first thing Chase mentioned, get a hole shot, get a start, get a good start. And that makes life a lot easier. But you can't let your guard down if you get a good start and have to, mind wander and fall over and do a silly error, because we've seen that happen too. So it is a tight series. Again, this is the closest series we've ever seen since 1976, when you've done, I think up to 10 rounds. There's been some shorter ones that have been as close or pretty close, or even finished in a tie. But this race this late in the season after 20 motos is incredible.
Absolutely, and to add a little extra pressure to Sexton, although he's probably trying to ignore all that, Honda has not won a 450 time in motocross or supercross since the Ricky Carmichael days. They have not won this championship since 2004. 18 years.
That is a stat that if you would have asked me in my prime of my career, I said that is absolutely impossible.
Yes.
That is more mind-boggling to me even than the fact that KTM hasn't won a moto since Blake Baggett won the second moto at Redbud in 2020. But it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, curse of the Bambino in baseball, and we must have the curse of the GOAT here.
Yeah, they've not won since Carmichael, and then you can see that every other major brand has won a title in that time. KTM, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Husqvarna, and Yamaha have all won titles. Many of them multiple. I think Kawasaki's won like 5 in that span.
That is
Tomac and Ryan Villapoto.
What a great stat that so few people know. That is, it was news to me, and I try to pay attention.
Yeah, incredible. Well, right. What you're referencing is, there was a time you had to try to go against Honda that they were unbeatable. They were winning every year, and now to not have won in 18 years. And I'm sure they're trying to shield Sexton from as much pressure as possible, but you've got to imagine that there are people under that tent or working in the offices that know this is their golden opportunity to finally get one of those. But they've got to go through Eli Tomac to do it, which is a tall task.
Yeah, Honda's, I mean, if you were playing the stock market, you'd say Honda's a stock that's rising. They've certainly got Chase Sexton and Kenny Roczen, and they've also got the Lawrence brothers, and we saw Chance Hymas, the winner of the Combine. They've kind of got that feeder system trying to duplicate what Star Racing seems to have done. And it looks really good, but the history's the history. They have not won a championship since Ricky Carmichael. Yeah. Period. That is the facts.
Now, it's also interesting, although Tomac and Sexton have been battling so hard, we have not seen really any ill feelings or drama between the two of them. We had a chance to talk to Tomac about the battle and the relationship between the two riders.
I think we both are trustworthy racers when we're on the track. And that's just the way, that just comes with riders' styles and their mentality and how they position themselves on the track. And it's kind of just I don't know, it's like a racer's emotion, you know? So, and that reflects in the riding. So yeah, we're both clean riders. And we both want it bad, but I think we do it in the right way, if there is a right way.
No drama between those two all year, despite the points being this close.
And that's well said. I mean, really well said, and brought across the point exactly it.
Look what happened.
Oh, Lord.
Chase Sexton did it. He pulls the top qualifying time away from Tomac at the very end of the session. He went 1:58.8. Tomac has a 1:59.7. Unbelievable.
He just drops a bomb on Eli Tomac there. That's a full second quicker than he'd run before, and the first rider obviously to get into the 1:58s. But he's got, 9/10 of a second gap over Eli at this point. So clearly has the speed. Eli is hoping to get a good start in those mains because he cannot give Chase a clean track.
So Chase Sexton looking to now be your Monster Energy fast qualifier here from Indiana. With that late surge, it was his 6th lap where he put in the time. Tomac put in his best in the 3rd lap that he was out on the track. Christian Craig is 3rd quickest on track right now. Roxon and Anderson 4th and 5th. We'll talk to Chase Sexton about his fast qualifying time when we return here on MAV TV.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. With a nationwide network of parts and care, Napa helps you get up and go. Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
And there's the view of Ironman Raceway, round 11 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. And that championship drama just continues to heighten. Sexton and Tomac throwing down and exchanging fast laps in qualifying, and ultimately Chase Sexton ends up being your Monster Energy fast qualifier, the Honda HRC rider from Illinois. So it's got some Midwestern roots, no doubt about it, and that might have helped to get those fast times here. It's been an awesome season this summer. I've sat next to some of the greatest riders the sport has ever produced, and we've asked those riders which rider from today's racers would they reminds them most of themselves.
I think the current crop that would remind me of me would be Jet Lawrence. He does stuff differently, and he really enjoys the crowd, and I think that was a lot like me. If I had to pick a rider today that I feel I have a lot of, common ties with or a style with, I would think it would be Ryan Dungey, and I'm lucky that he came back. Otherwise, I'd have to find a new one. But Ryan is the way. When I've worked with Ryan at Dunlop Tires, he's somebody that he has a tendency to really look at all the details before the race and figures out his options.
These guys are all so good. I don't know if I could compare myself to them. They're so professional. They're so well trained. If there was anybody that's kind of the second half guy, that's like, okay, I'm going to make the comeback, that would be me.
The tough, gritty style of rider, and the one that comes to the top of my head right now would be Jason Anderson. He's really loose on the bike kind of floats around and he's just going for it. You can see the passion in his riding, not that you can't see the passion in other riders, but just how he kind of forces the issue, bulldogs the bike. I think he reminds me of myself.
Jason likes to ride loose, likes to ride on the edge, but also the wheels never tend to really fall off. Yeah, sure, he goes down here and there, but able to, push those limits, and then take a piece of Eli with his consistency and the never say die or never, not going to settle for losing.
These guys are good. They're good, and I'm impressed by all of them. But I mean, come on, there's only one Bubba Scrub, so I'm a fan of all of them.
That's pretty good stuff. Seeing the personality, getting to work with you, Brock, and so many other legends throughout the year. Really cool that MX Sports and MAV TV allowed us to put that together. And what a banner championship we've had to analyze, including the fast qualifying time now by Chase Sexton.
Chase Sexton, somehow you do a 1:58. I didn't even know that was possible out here. You look great doing it. But this is a racetrack that, results-wise, hasn't been that kind to you. It is a hometown race, so there's a little bit of a battle there, but starting off to the right foot this morning.
Yeah, I'm just stoked to be healthy for this race. Last year I came in with COVID, and this is one of my favorite tracks on the circuit. And I'm just pumped to be able to ride it how I know I can. And track is absolutely perfect right now. So much traction. It's getting rough fast, and Randy Polder's doing a great job. I know him pretty well. He did a lot of my tracks when I was younger, and he's doing a great job with this one. So just stoked to be here. Indiana's close to home from me being from Illinois, and just stoked to be out here racing. And these fans are awesome. I cannot wait to go out there and do 230s today, and just, yeah, stoked to be here.
Well, Jason Wygant, Chase Sexton sending a pretty powerful message there, almost a full second ahead of his rival Eli Tomac.
Yeah, and you can even sense the vibe there with, he knows the track builder, he's familiar with the dirt, the crowd cheered as soon as he mentioned the Illinois route. So even though the pressure is supposed to be there, Brock, you're not seeing it from Chase Sexton right now.
Well, I tell you, Chase, this is one of his favorite tracks. He mentioned that to us last week in a little bit of discussion at the press conference. And the fact that this race he's riding so well, and then we've seen what he can do at Paula Raceway. And that, boy, if you're at Eli Tomac camp, you're a little nervous.
Okay, yeah, because Sexton has been almost dominant at the final round in California, so you feel like Tomac's got to get the drop on him today. Let's show you how you can watch these races this afternoon. It'll come up at 1 o'clock Eastern time, all live on MAV TV. 4 straight hours of coverage. We'll start with our 250 class. Jet Lawrence does have a chance of wrapping up the second straight 250 title today. Hayden Deegan making his pro debut. And then our 450 racing starts at 2 p.m. That's all on MAV TV, the Tucker Freight Ironman National. 1 point in it. Tomac Sexton, it doesn't get better, Golden Boy.
It is absolutely. This is what we all love. And, I mean, I've been a fan of the sport before I ever started racing. I'm still a fan of it today, and I get excited. I woke up, and I told you, I woke up at 4 a.m. thinking, I can't wait today. It was, you know what, and this is why. We've seen it already. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah, it's electric. Qualifying showed it, and we know the motos are going to be great. There it is. 1 point, the closest the series standings have ever been going into the 11th round of a championship. And that plate has switched the points lead multiple times throughout the year. And then look at all the other riders that can get in there, run interference. Anderson, Roxon, Craig, Dungey, Barsha, Plessinger. So many guys that can make this story even more intriguing. We cannot wait. We'll get you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on MAV TV. For the 6-time champ, Brock Glover, and Jason Thomas patrolling the racetrack, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching Fast Lap Qualifying on MAV TV.
G-Technic's Ceramic G-Wash is your one-stop product to wash and protect your vehicle. The ceramic shampoo creates a slick and protective surface for 3 months. The dirt repellency is unmatched and helps your car stay clean for longer periods of time. Cleaning and protecting your car has never been this easy. Try it today at gtechnic.com.
Introducing the 2023 Beta RR off-road model lineup.